This is episode number 22 of Two Grown-Ups and a Mouse. In today's episode, we will be discussing the Epcot International Festival of the Holidays 2018 with a focus on the cookie stroll. This is going on through December 30th.
Everything Disney in and out of the house. Two grown-ups and a mouse.
Hi there, I'm AJ.
I'm Andrew.
And you are listening to Two Grown-Ups and a Mouse.
You are?
I'm a grown-up.
I'm a mouse.
No, you're a grown-up.
Oh.
Mickey's a mouse.
There you go.
He kind of represents everything Disney.
Sure.
Shopping, parks, resorts, websites, groups, anything related to Disney.
Including holiday festivals.
Including holiday festivals. So, if you haven't listened to our podcast before, you should go back and listen to some of our older episodes. Today's episode will probably be a little bit shorter, but we're going to have 2 episodes this week.
Yeah, we're going to try something different.
See how you guys like it. So please give us your feedback. Tell us if you like having shorter episodes or longer episodes. But guess what?
What?
I'm under the weather. I got a cough.
We're all under the weather.
Well, yes, the weather is above us, but I mean, I don't feel well.
Aw.
Thank you. That's what I wanted.
All right.
So we went to the Festival of the Holidays, which we've been to before because we go to the resorts once a month every year, or excuse me, to the parks every year once a month. And so we have been there before when it's been going on, but we really made an effort on this last trip to really participate in the festivities.
Right. And the other part is also that they keep increasing the festivities. They've always had, obviously they always decorated. They always brought out little pieces of the culture of the countries for the holidays and what they celebrate or not, or those kinds of things. But now, now it's sudden. Well, I shouldn't say suddenly, but it's now, there's all these food kiosks and they're doing storytellings and they're...
Well, in my opinion, the Food and Wine Festival has the most food and wine.
Sure.
Hence, that's why it's called the Food and Wine Festival.
Sure.
And previously, the Flower and Garden Festival really had a focus on the topiaries and all of the flowers and, other...
If you go way back, there was basically no extra food kiosks at anything other than food and wine.
Exactly. That's where I was getting. So like food and wine, they expanded upon it because they knew how popular the food items were. Sure. So they kind of incorporated food into Flower and Garden. And for that, they tried to make a lot of it very fresh, very related to flowers. And, there's a word that I told you I don't feel well. I am sick, so I can't think.
The types of food you might see are more organic, more natural, there's more emphasis on that than in the other festivals.
Right.
And it's not so much that it's quote unquote healthy food. I mean, a lot of it's very special occasion food, but it's still looking at the usual, it's organic.
It's the natural ingredients. It's that it's made from this flower or it's made from this fruit, as opposed to Food and Wine where it's just representative of the culture. Sure. And this is something they sell in this country or this region. Now they still do it. They sell it in this country or region with a focus on this plant is from this region. This fruit is from this region. This vegetable is from this region.
Right.
But yeah, so they've been expanding upon them. And then, of course, they added the Festival of the Arts, which we've talked about a couple of times. And that has a lot of food items in it. So I felt while we were enjoying the Festival of the Holidays, I felt like it was a Flower and Garden. Not as many food items as Food and Wine, but there were definitely a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But we went with our friends. Mm-hmm. We went with a mom and her daughter. The daughter's 10. And our intention was we're going to do the cookie stroll.
Sure.
We're going to walk around Epcot and we're going to buy the cookies. And that was our intention. I guess before I go further, let me explain what the cookie stroll is. What they have, and we realized it was new this year, correct?
Yes.
So the cookie stroll, I would definitely recommend it before I say anything else, I think it was a great experience.
Sure.
And it wasn't an expensive experience. You did have to pay for it.
Yep.
But it wasn't expensive. And you purchase 5 cookies throughout the countries, and then you get a 6th cookie for free. Now, they have 5 separate cookies to purchase, and the free one is a set. This is the free one that you get. But let's say that you go to a country and they have a cookie described there that you don't want. You could always get 2 from a different country.
Sure.
You don't have to get those specific 5. You just have to get 5 cookies from the 5 participating kiosks. So, and you don't have to go in order. We actually started on cookie number 2 instead of cookie number 1. So you go around and you purchase a cookie and you get your book stamped for each cookie you purchase.
Right.
And then once you have the 5 stamps, you can go to the last kiosk and get the free cookie, which also came with a bottle of milk.
It did. It was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, we didn't know that. Now, each cookie is $2. They were a nice size like they weren't small like an Oreo or a Chips Ahoy. They were larger than a Chips Ahoy. It was a nice size cookie.
Well, we should preface that by saying for Disney prices.
Right. I mean, Disney, if anyone's familiar, if you go to Goofy Candy Company or to any of the resorts, and you can buy those prepackaged cookies, or sometimes you can buy the fresh cookies, and those, I believe, are $4.95.
Right.
So these were $2, and they were less than half the size of that $5 cookie. So, it's not like, oh, it's only $2 for a cookie. I mean, no, I'm not saying it's a great price, but as you said, for Disney prices, it wasn't bad.
Right.
And if you look at it that you're spending $10 because they didn't charge tax on them. Right. So you're spending $10, you're getting a total of 6 cookies and the bottle of milk. It's not a bad price.
No, overall it wasn't. And then, maybe a better way to describe it also is that the pricing wasn't out of line compared to everything else. If you've been to Food and Wine or Flower and Garden and you've eaten at the kiosks, you know how much the food is, kind of a quote unquote main dish is maybe $5 or $6. A dessert might be $3 or $4. So this cookie was $2, and it was appropriately priced compared to those other items. So,
right.
In terms of size and all that. And then obviously, well, that's skipping ahead. But after 6 cookies, that's a lot of cookies.
Well, and we shared cookies.
Yes, we did. Because we only bought one. Well, except for one. But.
One of them we bought 2, but out of the 5, at only one of them we purchased 2. At the other ones, we only purchased 1 because we ended up buying a lot of food on the walk, and we hadn't been anticipating that. So
right.
There was a lot more. So that kind of explains the cookie trail, but let's kind of back up and go from the beginning for our path. We started in Mexico, which is typical for us to go left when we get to Epcot.
Well, we ended because when we walked in, we walked through Mouse Gears, and then we walked out the back door of Mouse Gears, past Test Track, past the Odyssey Center, and that dumps you off in Mexico.
Some people might not realize what the Odyssey Center is. It's the building. They don't always use it, but there is, I believe the baby care center is located in the back of that building. And I know there are restrooms.
Well, there's restrooms
in that building.
And first aid. And like you said, the baby care center.
Right. So some people might not call it the Odyssey Center, but once you see it, you'd be like, oh, I know that building.
Well, there actually is a big sign out front, but yeah, they don't. It's rarely they don't open it for normal times. They usually open it for Food and Wine. They
didn't this year though.
Yeah, that's true because they moved stuff into the.
It depends. Sometimes they use it. Sometimes they don't. I mean, they try and figure out what the best use of space, and because that means they have to have cast members if they open that as opposed to having them somewhere else.
Right.
But yes, so that's, as Andrew explained, that is why we went towards Mexico. And we didn't stop in Mexico. We passed by Mexico, but then we got to Norway. And when we approached Norway, we saw there was a gathering of people.
Right. We were just in time for the story time. So, and that's here's the official word: celebrate the season with laughter as the unsuspecting storytelling Celebrate the season with laughter as the unsuspecting storyteller Sigrid encounters... Oh, man.
Julianison?
Sure. A magic and mischievous Christmas gnome.
Right.
So, and it's a Norwegian holiday story.
So we were there just in time for that.
Right.
And the 10-year-old we were with decided to sit down right in the front and watch, which was fine, and we sat there and we heard the story of what they tell in Norway. Mm-hmm. The same way that in America, people tell the story of St. Nicholas and how he goes around delivering presents and all the things related to Christmas.
Right.
They have a different version in Norway. Mm-hmm. And I believe each country tells their own holiday story.
They do.
I mean, like, we didn't stop and see this, but there are the Chinese lion dancers, which is the next country in China.
Well, the way they have it, I was looking at the times, and they stagger the times. So if you were so inclined, and you would end up rushing through the countries, basically, kind of a rush stop, because the way the times are staggered is you could go to Mexico, listen to the story, walk over to Norway, listen to the story, walk over to China, listen. Right. Because by the time we got to China, we got to China, we got in line for food, and the dragon dancing was
just beginning.
Right.
So we ended up getting, I thought you got chicken. I thought you had Mongolian chicken, but this is spicy mala chicken.
That's correct.
I thought it was called Mongolian. I didn't realize it was called spicy, and I tasted it, and I started coughing because it was really spicy.
It was.
It wasn't bad. If you like spicy, you'd probably enjoy it very much.
And it's funny because I thought you realized that because you had taken a picture of the menu, and I said, "Do you want some of my spicy chicken?" But
maybe I was sick then also. I don't know.
You must have missed it all, or maybe you weren't expecting something that was that spicy.
Yeah,
it was pretty.
I don't mind spicy, but it was a little bit too spicy,
right,
for me. And our friends had the Mongolian beef bao bun,
right, which had that before. And
right, I've had that before, and I had the bubble milk tea. Mm-hmm. Previously, and I decided not to, which it wasn't bad, but I decided not to get it. And you got the jasmine beer, didn't you?
I did.
Right.
And the beer was good. The spicy chicken was actually pretty good as well. It's just, it was spicy. It was spicier than I anticipated.
It was spicy.
Right.
So then we kept on walking. There was an outpost that we passed that we didn't really look at with a glass blower. And then in Germany, that is where we bought our first cookie, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, the peppermint sugar cookie. And all the cookies were good, just in case I forget to say that throughout the episode. They were all, they were all sweet. They were all pretty good.
Right.
But you didn't get any food in Germany, did you?
No, I looked at the food, and they didn't have the usual foods at any of the countries. It's almost like there was a lot of, maybe they tried to gear the menu more towards the holidays versus normal. But like in Germany, that you can't not get a bratwurst in Germany for any of the other festivals. But here, there is no
right. Yeah, I was going to say, we go to Food and Wine, we go to Flower and Garden, you always get a bratwurst.
Right.
But yeah, they didn't have that. So you didn't have that, but we did have the cookie there.
Yep.
And then we moved on to Italy, where we actually got a couple of things. We got the cavatappi ai quattro formaggi, which is baked 4-cheese pasta, Parmesan crumble, and truffle essence.
Right.
And we both really enjoyed that because we like truffle with our carbs.
Well, and despite the absolute horrific way my wife just pronounced it, all that, it was basically mac and cheese.
Yeah. It was a mac and cheese with a white cheese and a truffle.
Right.
Just the way I like it. Mm-hmm. Then we also had a mozzarella in Carosa,
right,
which was basically like a grilled cheese sandwich with a little bit of tomato sauce.
That's a pretty good way to put that, yeah.
I would have liked it without the tomato sauce personally.
Right.
And the rest were desserts, which even though they looked really good, we opted to skip them because we were on the cookie trail. Right. We wanted to make sure to leave room for our cookies. Yep. So we then moved on to America. And in my head, I just had Muppets 3D. A salute to all countries, but mostly America. Sam Eagle. That's like every time I say America at Disney, that's what I think of. And there we got a green and white sugar cookie.
We did.
I don't know if you guys got anything else from there.
No, we didn't. We just got the sugar cookie because we just walked out of Italy and had all that pasta and bread. So it was like.
And actually, in Italy, I got a glass of Moscato.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Which was about $10, and I thought it was a little bit expensive. And you said no, actually, it wasn't a bad price because it was a full size glass.
Right, it's a full size glass of a premium wine. I mean, so it's a tiny bit over maybe, but not, for Disney prices.
Actually, that reminds me of a little something that happened while we were waiting for food in Italy. So this couple walks up, the people that they were with were in front of us, and they walk up next to us, and they both had 2 drinks, and they looked as if they might be sweet. Typically the color of the red, it wasn't like a deep red, like a red wine.
Right.
It was like a red and a pink drink, and they looked sweet. So we started talking to them and we asked them, oh, where'd you get that? Is that sweet? And they're like, yeah, it's really sweet. It's really good. And the gentleman holds his out to me and he's like, you could try it if you want. And I just thought that was the funniest thing that a stranger was offering me his drink. But Disney brings out the best in us. So that was kind of funny. But we were talking about America, and that's a good time to stop and talk again about the candlelight processional.
Right.
We've talked about that before. We actually took a picture because we thought it was so funny at how many people were lined up 45 minutes to an hour out. There were a lot of people lined up for the candlelight processional. And we may or may not have said this before, but it's worth repeating. Don't worry if you can't get seats into viewing the candlelight processional because you can hear it pretty far out. So you can be standing on the outskirts and still enjoy the show.
Yeah, you can basically hear it anywhere in that whole courtyard of the American Pavilion. You'll hear it quite well. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you won't really see anything, but if that part's important, then you're gonna have to wait in line. But otherwise, just hop up there and listen. Right.
So we, of course, we were there a lot earlier in the day because we actually had reservations for that evening. Mm-hmm. So we didn't do anything there. But our next stop was in Japan, where we actually did not purchase anything to eat, but we did go into the Japan store.
Right.
Because we enjoy that store. We wanted a little bit of break from the outside weather.
Right. Just to cool off a little bit. And then I could get my sake at the sake bar.
That's right. Sorry, Graham.
Yep. Sorry. It was good, though.
Yeah. Andrew cheated on you. He did it by himself. Uh-huh. So next was between Morocco and France was a new holiday kitchen, L'Chaim. And I really wanted to try the pastrami on rye and the matzo ball soup. I would have liked to have tried those, but I was getting full at that point already. And I wanted to try a potato knish because I hadn't had one in a while. And it was really good. It came with an herb sour cream, and the sour cream was really good. But our friends got the matzo ball soup and said that was also tasted really nice. And this was the one cookie stop that we actually got 2 cookies because they were black and white cookies. And I thought they were going to be small. But out of all the cookies we got, I honestly think that was probably the largest.
Give or take.
Because it was a little bit taller than the other cookies. But it was really, really an enjoyable. And I'm looking in the book at the picture of the black and white cookie, and it's round in the picture, and ours were oblong, were more egg-shaped.
Yeah.
And bigger. So it was kind of funny. So yeah, we were eating quite a lot, from each country, getting a little bit here and a little bit there, but you add it all up and it really is a lot of food.
Oh yeah, it adds up.
So we then walked past France, but I don't believe we got anything to eat there, though they do have some really nice offerings. They have a smoked salmon Napoleon and a dill brioche. They have a chocolate cake with dark chocolate caramel ganache, which I said, I really want to try that, but not today. Because I didn't want to fill up too much.
Right.
Then from France, we walked through the United Kingdom, and they have a lot of beverages in the United Kingdom, between the tea and the alcohol.
Right.
And the next cookie stop for us was in Canada.
Yep.
And there, did you guys get something to eat besides the cookie? I want to say that our friends did.
Yeah, they got the traditional French-Canadian tortilla because we were wondering what Canadian ketchup was.
Right. And I looked it up and I could not find a difference between Canadian ketchup and American ketchup or United States. I shouldn't say America because we're all in North America, but from United States versus Canadian ketchup, I believe it's the same. It just matters on where it's been bottled. That was the only difference I could find. And we got a gold chocolate chip cookie there, which again was very good. And again, I was getting very full.
Right.
So from there,
that was basically it.
Well, no, we had skipped the first one, which is at the Feast of the Three Kings, which is just a little kiosk right before Mexico.
Well,
it's at the port of entry.
Yeah, it's called Showcase Plaza, that whole area with the 2 stores. And then any kiosk they put up, that's the quote-unquote Showcase Plaza.
Right. So the kiosk there is called Festival of the Three Kings, and that's where you get a red and green chocolate chip cookie, which we did. Right. And that just goes to prove that, again, you don't have to buy them in order. You can buy them in any order that you want. That was the last cookie that we purchased. Yep. And from there, we went to the Yukon Holiday Kitchen. No, not the Yukon Holiday Kitchen. We went to the Holiday Sweets and Treats, which is where we got the complete Red and Good Mickey Sugar Cookie. And we're surprised with a bottle of milk.
Yeah.
But that also brings up a little something that happened while we were there. So we decided to sit on a bench right out inside of Showcase Plaza. And we're sitting there enjoying our cookies. And this family walked by and they were like, "Do you want more milk?" And they gave us their milk because they didn't need it. You know,
right.
It's like Disney really brings out the good in people, which is really nice.
Yeah.
That happens. So we sat there and enjoyed our cookies and milk. And another thing, and they talk about this, if you get a chance, we'll try and take some more pictures of it. The Festival of the Holidays Festival Passport has a lot of great information in it. Or you could just, you can look it up online if we don't include all the pictures. They do have a lot of good merchandise, not just holiday merchandise, but they did have a Festival of the Holidays merchandise.
Yeah.
I bought a long-sleeved hooded shirt that said Festival of the Holidays because it was cute and it wasn't too Christmassy.
Right.
For me, because I've mentioned before, I celebrate Hanukkah. So I do like the holidays, but I like things that are just holiday, wintry, snowy, and they don't really represent Hanukkah or Christmas, just holidays.
Sure.
So the Festival of the Holidays shirt did have an ornament on it, but it was still cute. It didn't say Christmas on it. So I thought it was good really for anybody that just wants to show that they're being festive.
Right.
But in addition to the shirts, they did have a nice arrangement of merchandise that you could buy throughout the World Showcase. But they also had a nice display inside of Mouse Gears, the big store inside of Epcot. So, and one of the reasons I mentioned that, they also do sell a cookie jar that says Holiday Cookie Stroll.
Right.
So if you want to purchase the cookies and not eat them, if you want to kind of wrap them up and take them home and put them in the cookie jar for a little bit, you could try to do that.
Well, they might not be very fresh, but you could do it.
But it was nice that they sold something that said Holiday Cookie Stroll. I thought that was a really nice offering that they had.
Right.
So all in all, we had a really good time.
Yep.
We'll definitely try and do that again. We'll probably try the cookies again next year.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
As well, because as I said, the whole experience for the cookies, not including the food that we opted to buy, but if you just wanted to do the cookie stroll, it's $10. You end up with 6 cookies and a bottle of milk. And that's a pretty good price, in my opinion, for that experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that was fun.
But on that note, if you haven't already subscribed, subscribe.
Please.
You can listen to us on your favorite podcast system.
That's right.
Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, you name it, we should be there. Or you could go directly to our website.
TwoGrownUpsAndAMouse.com.
Or you can follow us on social media.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Two Grown Ups and a Mouse.
That's right. We try and make it easy for you. Absolutely. And if you have already subscribed, thank you. Yep. We're glad you're here. And please remember to give us feedback. We do listen for your feedback. We enjoy your feedback and we want to give you what you want to hear.
Absolutely.
So on that note, I'm getting hungry.
Sure.
It's dinner time right now for us. So I'm going to say good evening.
Or good afternoon.
Well, yeah, it might not be dinner time where they are. I could say good morning.
Or good night.
How about just goodbye?
All right.
Bye.
Bye.